This here is from a Reddit called Depth Delusion. They're breaking the spell that you think Johnny's the victim. I still think he is. My spell's not broken, but that's just me. Maybe it's working on some people. So I've had these theories about who Amber fans are. Number one, I'm certain they lean a certain way politically. And number two, I think they're really young. I'm going to say teenagers. And when I read something like this, I gotta think it was written by a teenager. Seems like someone very naive about the world in general. So I'm just, adding puzzle pieces to the mix. This person says, I know the idea of this sub is to stay positive, so I understand if this post gets deleted because it's a negative thought I keep having lately and it's connected to the court case. So she is talking about Blake Lively, but this is a thread about Amber and the general consensus that these men are guilty. What's going to happen if Blake wins, but Donald Trump declares not safe for work harassment isn't a crime anyway? So, first of all, Donald Trump can't just declare something isn't a crime. That seems like a really naive way of thinking. Like if he decriminalized domestic abuse, not safe for work assault, and violence, and SA, and then racism, sexism, workplace harassment laws. What? I mean, come on, man. This person thinks Donald Trump can just decriminalize domestic abuse? Really? I mean, I'm going to tend to think this person is like maybe 11 or 12, not even a teenager. I'm really surprised at how fast things are going crazy, even though I was one of the more cowardly people who thought Kamala was a better option than him despite her Gaza position. All right? I'm sorry this is such a negative post, but I saw a clip where Trump said there was basically no violence in DC anymore, only domestic violence, which he says doesn't count. Well, honestly, like in a way, it doesn't. They're two separate things, okay? I'm not sure if that's true what he said, but assuming it's mostly true, but there is still domestic violence, it's a lot different than violence on the street. They're really two completely separate departments. So I gotta agree, it doesn't count to the overall crime statistic in the state. That's just a fact. There's really no other way to see it. I'm not saying it's not important, it's not an issue that should be taken seriously, but it's different. I just really think the logical conclusion to all the stuff happening lately that first heard the Me Too backlash, the demonization of brown/black men as SA monsters, the emphasis on stranger SA, is that this is where we're headed. All right, I mean, there is some of that demonization going on, but it's mostly in the UK. It's about immigrants and things like that in certain groups, not just a general thing about black and brown men like around the world in every country in the US. It's a pretty specific region it's happening in. And I'm not sure if that news is true or not. Jury's out. I mean, it could be happening. But I can't say for sure. Not going to give a strong opinion because I just don't know the real facts. I don't understand the US legal system as much as other Blake Lively supporters, but I feel like this case won't be influenced by Trump's ideology. I feel like that won't happen that quickly. Yo, man. So here's the thing. Like, whether you like fucking Trump or not, a lot of these people think like the entire world revolves around him. Like every last thing that happens somehow is going to happen a certain way because Trump is in office. I guarantee you this court case will have nothing to do with Donald Trump's influence. I bet if I looked up the judge, he's probably pretty liberal. I don't know. I'm taking a guess, but like it's 50-50. Who knows? A lot of people in those positions are liberal, like judges and lawyers and professionals. But after Baldoni loses shortly after that, I think SH will be decriminalized anyway. Okay. What will the future hold for Blake and Ryan and other liberals like them? I'm not talking about vocal socialist progressives, but the ordinary Hollywood liberals like Blake, Ryan, Jennifer Aniston, and Mindy Kaling, the person on Meghan Markle's With Love cooking show. What a great example. And this is still at the time when Jimmy Kimmel was fired, quote unquote. With Kimmel being fired, I just wonder what the future is. Will people pivot to the right? Will Ryan and Blake ultimately move to Canada? Will Hollywood get rid of intimacy coordinators? Will right-wing actors like Chris Pratt get more work? Will Hollywood movies become more SAE, anti-woman? What the fuck, man? Will Hollywood movies become anti-woman? For the last 10 years, they've been like rainbows and shiny colors of pro-female. Pretty much every major franchise that's ever existed, save a handful, have replaced their male characters with female characters or made the men really weak and put in women. It's like that is like the most brain rot comment I've ever fucking heard, man. That's what's been happening for the last 10 years is the opposite of what this person's saying, which is why I think they're like 13 or 12 years old reading internet headlines and thinking this is the world. And by the way, there's like 10 times more of the opposite headlines that's been out there for the last 10 years. Like, Chris Pratt is one of the very, very, very few out and open conservative major Hollywood actors. Like, very few. I can't even really think of another. I find it hard to wrap my head around it all, and also, for what it's worth, believe with all my heart that JB would have reacted differently had Kamala won last year. I mean, I'll say this. There are definitely people going to do certain things or not because Trump is in office. He has an influence, but he's not in every little nook and cranny of every decision that goes on. Like, I don't get anything here relating to Trump in any way, shape, or form, and yet this person thinks he's like hanging over it with this huge influence. It's crazy. And I gotta remind you, this person is at base level an Amber fan, but of course there's plenty of crossovers for Megan, Blake, and Evan Rachel Wood. It's pretty much the same fan base. And I think they're pretty much mostly, probably like 80%, like girls under 20, probably even not even college age, but you know, plenty of those, and just reading internet things and thinking they're living in a scary world where everything's out to get them and everything's so bad for women. I mean, I'm not saying some things aren't, but there's a balance in the world. There's plenty of bad things for men. Anyway, getting down a rabbit hole here, all I'm saying is the worldview here is very skewed towards thinking about me, and how things affect me, and not really, looking at a broad picture. Anyway, if you're not subscribed here, consider it. If you don't, I'll be sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.